We have the wrong word for it. We call it burnout. But a fire is bright. It's hot. It's fast. What you and your team are feeling is not fire. It's rust. It's a slow, cold, silent corrosion that seizes the engine of your work, one gear at a time. It doesn't look like a dramatic explosion. It looks like cynicism in a meeting. It sounds like silence when you ask for new ideas. It feels like quiet quitting. The body is at the desk, but the mind is gone. You see the productivity charts dip. You see the enthusiasm fade. You know as a leader that something is wrong. So you try to fix it. You buy a wellness app. You throw a pizza party. You offer bonuses. And the rust just keeps spreading. Because you are trying to buy what cannot be bought. You are trying to polish what is fundamentally broken underneath. This is a failure of leadership, not a failure of the employee. And the cure is not new. It is not found in a startup, but in a siege. To find it, we must look back 900 years to a leader who faced the ultimate test of human resilience, Saladin.
Let's be honest. The wellness apps, the pizza parties, they fail. They fail because they misdiagnose the disease. You are offering a band-aid for a spiritual wound. But, the executive says, we give them bonuses, we pay them well. You believe the problem is compensation. You believe the rust is about money. This is the first and most critical leadership failure. You are trying to buy loyalty from a team that is starving for meaning. You are trying to motivate a team that has no mission, and you're trying to manage from a distance a team that is desperate for presence. These solutions fail because they treat the symptom, not the cause. Saladin faced a crisis 1,000 times worse than your quarterly report. His stakes weren't profits, they were survival. And his solutions weren't shallow, they were forged in fire. To understand his cure, you must first understand his crisis. His name was Salah al-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub. The year is 1189. He has just retaken Jerusalem, and in response, the entire might of Europe has descended upon him. This is the Third Crusade, the Crusade of Kings. Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, Frederick Barbarossa of Germany. They bring a massive, technologically superior and well-funded army to the shores of the Holy Land. And Saladin's army must fight them in a furnace. The physical exhaustion was staggering. Thirst was a constant enemy. Disease, dysentery, fever was more deadly than the sword. But his greatest enemy was not Richard the Lionheart. It was his own army. You see, Saladin's army was not a unified force. It was a fragile, temporary coalition. Turks, Kurds, Arabs, emirs who hated each other, brought together only by Saladin's reputation. They were mercenaries. They hadn't been paid in months. They saw their own emirs living in lavish tents while they starved. This was the perfect storm, the perfect environment for rust. A massive external enemy, a brutal environment, and a massive internal crisis of division, injustice, and exhaustion. The corrosion was complete. The army was on the verge of total collapse. How do you lead a team like that? How do you stop the rust when you're in the middle of the fire? Slow tilt up the rusted blade. You must fundamentally reforge the soul of the organization. Saladin applied 3 timeless antidotes to this corrosion. The first was perhaps the most counterintuitive of all. At a time when everyone was hoarding money, Saladin began to give his away. Antidote 1. The economy of loyalty. That Saladin saw his army not as a machine, but as a network of human beings, driven by emotion. He knew that the rust of cynicism grows from a single seed, injustice. His soldiers saw their emirs hoarding wealth while they starved. That was injustice. So Saladin waged war, not just on the Crusaders, but on this perception of injustice. Baha al-Din tells us Saladin refused to own anything. His treasurers were under strict orders. All money is to be given to the men. The state's needs and the people's needs come first. When he died, the Sultan of the greatest empire of his day left behind no personal fortune, only 47 dirhams, not enough for his own funeral. This was not just being nice, this was strategy. It was a signal sent every single day to every single soldier. I see you, I share your hardship, I will not profit from your sacrifice. This act of radical public generosity destroyed the seed of injustice. It built what modern leadership consultants call psychological safety. The safety to know that your leader is not your exploiter. The safety to know that shared goals mean shared rewards. The modern parallel is not just about money, it's about credit. Are you hoarding praise? Are you taking credit for your team's ideas? Or are you pathologically generous with recognition? Do you eat first as a leader, taking the biggest bonus, the corner office? Or do you ensure your team is taken care of first? This is the first antidote. It stops the rust before it can even form. But generosity alone is not enough. A safe team with no purpose will still corrode. They will rust from boredom. Saladin's army wasn't just paid, they were driven. He had to solve the second and deeper cause of rust, the corrosion of pointlessness. He had to give his fractured coalition of rivals a single, non-negotiable, unbreakable why. He had to give them a mission. Antidote 2. The non-negotiable core. Remember Saladin's army, a fractured coalition of rivals. This is your company. Marketing versus engineering. Sales versus product. Each emir, each department was there for their own profit, their own glory, their own land. They were rusting from division. Saladin knew he could not force them to unite. He had to inspire them to. He had to find a goal so large, so profound, that it made their petty internal squabbles seem small and shameful. That goal was the liberation of Jerusalem. This was not just a military objective. He framed it as a spiritual imperative, a duty to their faith, a rescue of their legacy, a goal that would echo for 1,000 years. Suddenly, an emir's greed for a small piece of land in Syria seemed pathetic. Suddenly, the rivalry between Kurd and Turk was secondary to the mission. Saladin was more than a general. He was the chief storyteller. He relentlessly communicated this why in every letter, before every battle, in every prayer. He forged the meaning, and the meaning forged the motivation. Now, look at your team. Your team is not burnt out from hard work. They are burnt out from pointless work. They are rusting because they do not know why they are doing what they are doing. They don't know who they are helping. They don't know what the mission is. It is your one job as a leader to be the chief meaning officer, to draw a straight line from their daily work to the Jerusalem that you are fighting for. A team that feels safe, antidote 1, and a team that feels purposeful, antidote 2, is an almost unbreakable force. They will not rust. But there was one final critical piece. A safe, purposeful team can still be corroded by one thing: an absent leader. A leader who sends his men into the fire while he watches from the hill. Antidote 3. Presence. The final corrosion is isolation. The rust festers when the leader is an abstract concept, an email address, an entity in a front office that you never ever see. Saladin's contemporaries were shocked by his leadership style. He didn't lead from a palace. He didn't even lead from a fortified tent. He lived in a simple canvas tent, just like his men. He ate their food. During the brutal siege of Acre, he was so ill he could not stand, yet he had himself carried on a stretcher from one end of the battle line to the other, all day, just so his men could see him, sharing their risk. His biographers wrote that he knew every emir by name. He knew their families. He knew their histories. He proved that shared hardship is the ultimate bond. Presence is the antidote to isolation. Now look at your modern office. Burnout thrives in the silence. It festers in the Zoom call. It hardens in the asynchronous workflow where no one ever truly connects. You don't have to sleep in a tent. You don't have to be carried onto a battlefield. But you must lead from the fire. You must be visible. You must ask questions. You must listen more than you speak. You must prove to your team every day that you are in the trench with them and not just watching from the hill. This is the leader's antidote. It's not one thing, it's a system. Generosity to build safety, purpose to build motivation, and presence to build trust. This is how you stop the rust. This is how you forge a team that cannot be broken.
Burnout, corrosion, rust. It is not a personal failure. It is a leadership failure, a failure of the environment. You cannot polish away the rust. You cannot buy it away. You must change the conditions that create it. Saladin's 900-year-old cure is a system of leadership. 1. Be pathologically generous. Build safety. Give away credit. Share the rewards. Prove you are not an exploiter. 2. Be the chief storyteller. Build purpose. Relentlessly connect the daily work to the grand mission. 3. Lead from the fire. Build trust. Be present. Be visible. Share the hardship. This is the leader's antidote. It is not easy. It requires courage. It requires humility. but it is how you stop the corrosion for good. This is the Vizier's Edge.